Fforest Fawr is the name given to an extensive upland area in the county of Powys, Wales, formerly known as the Great Forest of Brecknock in English. It was a royal hunting area for several centuries but is now used primarily for sheep grazing, forestry, water catchment and recreation. It lies within the Brecon Beacons National Park. Extent: the area extends from the edge of the Black Mountain in the west eastwards to the A470 Brecon to Merthyr Road, just west of the Brecon Beacons themselves. It includes the peaks of Fforest Fawr, Llanfrinich, Craig Cerrig Glesiad, Llanlear, Llaned, Llangyhyrich, Llanbwlchwydd and Cefn Cool. Traditionally, Fforest Fawr also included the peaks of Llanhir and Llanbrackennog, although the modern recreational use of the name tends to be restricted to the area east of the Black Mountains of which they form a part. Geology: the area is almost exclusively underlain by sandstones and mudstones of the Old Red Sandstone. The more resistant sandstone beds of the Brownstones Formation give rise to the major peaks. To the south of the main peaks are two more broken north-facing scarps, that of the Carboniferous Limestone and, to its south, that of the Millstone Grit. These three suites of rock all dip southwards into the regionally important South Wales Coalfield Basin. The area is crisscrossed by faults which fall into two groups. Two major faults which are closely associated with tight folding of the rocks through which they pass constitute one group. These are known as the Crebath and Neath disturbances. They run northeast to southwest through the area and are usually associated with the Variscan orogeny, though the origins of these weaknesses in the Earth's crust can perhaps be ascribed to the earlier Caledonian orogeny. The second set of faults form something of a swarm which run north-northwest to south-southeast and are most apparent within the limestone and Millstone Grit outcrop. The area was glaciated during the Ice Ages and at least three glacial cirques are evident, of which Craig Cerrig Glesiad is the most dramatic. At both this location and on the eastern slopes of Llandringath are spectacular landslips. Archaeology: there are many extant prehistoric monuments in the area, and especially two famous standing stones, Llanlear and Llanmadog, both of which stand near to the Roman road of San Helen. There are also remains of hut circles, stone rows and other traces of habitation such as hut platforms and pillow mounds. The mounds are the large remains of former attempts to farm rabbit cuniculture on the moorland. There are also round barrows visible, usually as cairns, sometimes on the peak summits, such as that on Llangyhyrich, but also elsewhere on what is now wild moorland. They are mainly of British Bronze Age date of 2000 BC and sometimes earlier, although few have been excavated scientifically. The cairn on Fforest Fawr, excavated in 2002-4, showed a central cyst with the ashes and bones of a woman and two children of date about 2000 BC with a possible wreath of meadow-sweet flowers. History: following the Norman conquest, the area was owned by the Lord of Brecon, Bernard de Noifmesh, eventually passing into the possession of the Crown in 1521. It was sold by the Crown in 1819 to raise funds depleted by the cost of the Napoleonic Wars. The entrepreneur John Christie purchased some of this land and subsequently constructed a tramroad across the area from Senny Bridge to Astragan Lake, in an effort to improve agricultural production, though the venture ran into financial difficulties. Parts of the area, notably on the flanks of Cefn Cool above Cray Reservoir, were set aside during the 19th century for rabbit breeding for both fur and meat. Pillow mounds remain as the most obvious sign of this venture. These long, low earth mounds were constructed to allow the animals to burrow in what were otherwise thin soils. Since October 2005, it has formed the core of the Fforest Fawr Geopark, the first geopark in Wales and one of several areas in the UK designated for their outstanding geological heritage. Modern land use. The waters of the southerly flowing Afon Dringarth have been impounded between Llan Fawr and Llanir as a strad-felt reservoir. The headwaters of the northerly flowing Afon Cry are stored in Cray Reservoir immediately west of the A4067 Astrajan Ley to Senny Bridge Road. There are numerous conifer plantations on both the northern and southern slopes of Fforest Fawr. Llanfrinage and Craig Cerrig Glesiad are protected as a national nature reserve which is owned and managed by the Natural Resources Wales for its Arctic alpine flora. Almost the entire area is open access for walkers. A major long-distance path, the Beacons Way, runs east-west through Fforest Fawr.